What if I told you there's a role where you can sit on company strategy meetings, travel internationally for business, and have direct access to C-suite executives? This is part 1 of the Chief of Staff series videos that I'll be making. Stay tuned for the future episodes. For many people, this is a title that is familiar perhaps in the government context. If you remember, like this guy, or all of these guys. Fun fact, the Chief of Staff actually originated in the military in the 18th century, where the Chief of Staff is the top aide to the Commanding General, responsible for coordinating strategy, logistics, and communications across all units. Over time, this role has been brought into the private sector with the goal to improve the efficiency of CEOs and other C-suite executives. I personally first came to know about the role during my time at Bloomberg, where I was interviewed by the Chief of Staff of our org at the time. Then, during MIT Sloan, I discovered that this is actually one of the most popular career paths post-MBA, actually on par with investment banking, management consulting, and product management. Now that I've been in the role for a year, let me tell you everything you need to know based on my industry research, my conversations and surveys with 20+ industry professionals who have been Chief of Staffs or are Chief of Staffs right now, and also my own experience. Let's start with the most important question. What does a Chief of Staff do day to day? At the highest level, a Chief of Staff is part strategic advisor, part gatekeeper, part personal GPT, part project manager, and part janitor. Based on my own research and first-hand information, here's the rough split between these 5 things that you do in big companies as well as startups. But here's the thing. It varies so much depending on the industry and the specific company that you're in. But I will say that the golden rule is the bigger the company is, the more people-oriented this role becomes, and the smaller or the more startup-y this company is, the more operationally intense this role gets. Now let me talk you through each of these hats that you will be wearing in a Chief of Staff role. Number 1, strategic advisor. Should a company enter a new market, kill a product, restructure a team, hire McKinsey? You weigh in. In large companies, you synthesize a lot of the research from different teams, different people that you work with, and share the highest level takeaways and advice to your executive. Versus in startups, you will actually have to do a lot of the analysis yourself from bottom up, and therefore you see a lot of requirements on investment banking or consulting experience where that comes in handy. And here is a really big one that nobody talks about. As a Chief of Staff, a lot of times you're actually the only person in the room who can give candid and direct feedback to your executive, to your boss, who might even be the CEO. That is rare, and that is power. Number 2, the gatekeeper. You control what goes in and out of your executive's world, their attention, their communication, sometimes their calendar, along with the executive assistant. Your job is to protect their focus so that they can show up fully for what matters the most. Number 3, project manager. You make sure that nothing falls through the crack. And I mean nothing. Not a single detail. Business trips, internal events, offsites, cross-functional initiatives, and town halls, you hold the full picture where everyone else only sees a piece of it. Number 4, personal GPT. You need to know your company earnings figures by heart. You need to know what questions your boss is going to ask during the meeting, to whom, and what their thoughts are after the meeting. It's part analyst, part mind reader. And sometimes, if you have your pulse on the hottest industry gossip and people changes, that helps. Number 5, janitor. Broken process, escalating client complaints, team structure issues that no one is looking at for months, it's all yours now. Anything that has an impact on the P&L that no one's solving for, you're solving it. In my survey, I actually asked lots of current and past Chief of Staffs the question of how would you describe your job to a 5-year-old? And my absolute favorite answer to this is I help to make sure Santa can keep giving gifts to children every year. One more thing to know, the Chief of Staff role tenure is typically 12 to 18 months, although it has been getting a little bit longer in recent times, and it is by design. It's intense, it's rewarding, and it's meant to be a stepping stone. In the current market, a Chief of Staff role typically requires 5 to 15 years of experience, depending on your company size and your industry. And usually, your background needs to align with the industry of the company or the functional expertise of the executive that you are going to report to. Based on my surveys, here are the top 3 qualities that hiring managers are looking for in a Chief of Staff. Adaptability. You will never have the same week twice. Proactiveness. You need to solve all the problems before they become fires. And trustworthiness. You're in a room with lots of confidential information and lots of egos. And with that, here are also the 3 skills that will make you stand out and make you a good Chief of Staff. Number Number 1, communication. Written, verbal, executive, and versatile depending on the audience. Breadth and depth of knowledge. You don't have to know everything and you can't know everything, but you need to know exactly where to find them. Organization. At scale, across people, across functions, and across time zones. By design, you're almost always going to be the most junior person in the entire room. So remember, your job is to be the connective tissue, influence without authority, and not the loudest voice. Now it gets exciting. What do chief of staffs do when they graduate from their role? Well, here's a treat for you. I've looked through many industry reports, podcasts, and spoke with the founder of the Chief of Staff Network, Scott, about the potential exit options. The top 3 exit options for Chief of Staff is number 1, a P&L owner, becoming a department head. Actually, sometimes in a completely different company and completely different industry. COOs and head of corporate strategy are the most common landing spots. The second one is what we call a serial chief of staff. You move on to a different company, but staying in the same role. The step up there could be this is a different industry, or it's a company that is much larger in size, and your role and responsibilities actually change if you remember the startup and big company charts, where you will get to wear different hats in the new role. And number 3, executive coach or academia. And this is where you would leverage a lot of the experiences that you've observed and learned by working with leadership team, and you're actually in a great position to coach senior leaders or companies on how to be effective and be efficient at the top level. Great, now you've made it to the most exciting part of this video, the part that everyone has been waiting for. How much do you get paid as a chief of staff? The answer might not be what you like, but it depends. The chief of staff salary actually ranges typically between 100K to 300K depending on your experience, industry, company size, and many factors. But it is in line generally with the post-MBA salary trajectory if you look at here just the base salary distribution. Also, interestingly, based on a report that the Chief of Staff Network has released, sports and media is the industry that pays the highest for a Chief of Staff role. I did not know this coming into my job. But as you go to the most senior level or the most seasoned Chief of Staff paths, you can see that the compensation pushes significantly higher with bonuses and stock options. And the craziest number I see on this report, a $2.1 million equity award alone. But remember, the learning also matters. It's never all about the salary. But if you want to consider this role as a potential option post-MBA or just as a career change, it has a great potential to meet your financial needs. And now, my very honest take on this role. Here are the top things that I think why people love the role, based on my survey and the research. Most importantly, intellectual stimulation. You're constantly in a room where the most important decisions are made. You're surrounded by the smartest, most experienced people that you could possibly meet. And adjacent to that, the network that you'll build in this role is incredible. You'll meet the most number of senior executives in just 12 months than most do in a decade. Just imagine your CEO will write you a referral for your future endeavor. And all that is to say, you will have lots of experience beyond your years. Lots of international business trips, potentially industry conferences, key stakeholders that you meet, and just moments that only people at the most senior level would experience and have to deal with. And here is the real downside of the role. Referencing back to those many hats that you're wearing, this role can lack ownership and specialization. There's no specific KPI in your role. You're pulled in every direction, which can be disorientating. And as someone who may have pursued an MBA, who is, to say the least, a little type A, that is going to be challenging. And there's also huge demand for rigor and discipline in this role. You have to know what you need to know very well, but you also almost have to know what you don't know. There's little guidance, little micromanagement. Everything you do has a lot of weight and is always at stake. And you could be potentially working around the clock all the time. And finally, this was a little touchy, but there is always politics at the top. The C-suite dynamic is real, the egos are real. You must navigate all of it quietly, skillfully, but also a lot of times alone. My honest answer to this question is no job is completely AI-proof right now, not to mention in 5-10 years' time. However, here are the 3 reasons why I think the Chief of Staff role is more resilient than others. First, it is a very relationship-driven and relationship-heavy role at its core. You must demonstrate high EQ, empathy, the ability to read the room, manage up. These are deeply human capabilities that AI just can't do yet. And the second one is this role embraces ambiguity day in and day out. AI is trained on prior data and inferences patterns, but navigating the unknown with judgment and in real time, I think that's a human advantage. Number 3, this is a very unique role where you can weaponize AI to your benefits. Chief of staffs now are out there building workflows, automations, research syntheses, and many other value-adding tools for their executives. They're ahead of the curve when it comes to adopting, building, and manipulating the tools, and it helps them stay ahead. Before we wrap up today's video, I want to share a resource that I genuinely wish I had earlier, the Chief of Staff Network. It is a global community of 900 plus chief of staffs across 20 cities. If you're trying to break into a chief of staff role or want to go deeper in your existing path, the Chief of Staff Network gives you direct access to a vetted peer network, exclusive industry events, as well as 2 courses that I would like to call out for you. The Chief of Staff AI Fellowship. This is a program for chief of staffs who want to lead an AI transformation inside their organizations and learn how to evaluate AI vendors, build internal AI roadmaps, and position themselves as the connective tissue between leadership and technical teams. The second one is the Launchpad course. This is a flagship certification program for people entering the chief of staff role or early in their tenure. It covers the core operating principles of the role and gives participants a cohort experience with peers navigating the same challenges. And because you've watched the video until now, you're a champ, I'm so excited to share that you can use my personal code Coffee with Minnie to get 10% off on both of these courses with the Chief of Staff Network. Bonus season just wrapped up. If you're in the market or sitting on a decision, now is the time. Chief of Staff can be one of those roles that sounds a little intimidating and actually confusing from the outside, but it makes complete sense once you're in the inside and actually understands the role. It is a career accelerant, it is a network builder, and it is honestly one of the most interesting seats in an organization. In part 2 of this video, I'm actually going to get a little tactical. How to find the chief of staff roles, how to nail the interviews, and how to succeed in your first 90 days as a chief of staff. For today, please comment below, would you consider a chief of staff role? I want to know who's watching and what your background is so that I can make a better video and better content for you. Subscribe so you don't miss part 2. And I'll see you next time. Bye.